talking in specific about the frequency of feeding. The frequency of feeding is also very important. If we get a baby that is less than 6 months of age, the feeding should be calculated close to every 3 hours. When we use every 3-hour feeding, the scheduled feedings per day will be 8 feedings per day. When we're talking about the frequency of feeding, the babies should take the bottle close to every 3 hours. When we calculate every 3 hours, we have exactly 8 feedings per day. An example will be if we take a 2 ounces bottle for a baby, and then we give 8 feedings a day every 3 hours, then there will be 8 times 2, that will give you 16 ounces a day. But what happens is when you change the feeding from 3 hours to 2 hours, that will increase the amount of formula that the baby will be taking. You go from 2 ounces every 3 to 2 ounces every 2, they give you 12 feedings scheduled per day. So you multiply 12 times 2 ounces, they give you 24. There's a major difference between 16 ounces scheduled in every 3 hours scheduled feeding to every 2 hours scheduled feeding that will be increasing to 24. And even more, it will increase when you use to every hours, keeping the 2 ounces. 2 ounces times 24 give you 48 hours, more than the baby would require. If you go more than every 3 hours, you go 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, what happens is 2 things happen. Number one, the baby might stop gaining weight because you are missing scheduled feedings, so calorie intake will be much less. And if you try to compensate increasing the volume, let's say you go for 4 or 5 hours, and then to do that you give for a 5 kilos baby or 11 pounds baby that you have a schedule 2.5 to 3 ounces, and then you use 4 ounces every 4 hours, that will be the right amount to give in a 24-hour period, but probably the volume that the baby will be accommodating inside the stomach will be producing vomiting, hiccups, reflux, abdominal pain, gases, and sometimes abdominal distension. For breastfeeding babies, it's very important to when we use the breastfeeding schedule, usually should be close to every close a little bit more, 3 hours or more, or just a little bit less, 2 hours and 45 minutes. So you should be close to every 3 hours, exactly the same time that we use for bottle feeding, to minimize side effects associated to that. Then the feeding, usually the breast milk meltdown, when the milk is more abundant, is in every breast during the first 5 minutes of the breastfeeding. So for a little baby, like a newborn baby or just older babies, the breastfeeding should be close between 10 minutes to 15 minutes total feeding. What happens is when many families go to every 2 hours, every 3 hours, after the mother milk starts to be abundant, then the baby starts having vomiting, abdominal pain, distension, gases, and all these side effect symptoms. But if you try to keep it in the same schedule, close to every 3 hours, the symptoms tend to improve significantly and the baby speed up decrease significantly as well. Another thing that happens is after a few weeks that the mother has been through the breastfeeding, the milk is abundant. And then what happens is the baby continue drinking more than 10 to 15 minutes, is depending of every mother. Then it will take a large amount of volume. It's like we go from 3 ounces to 4 ounces to 5 ounces. And that will be also inducing problem if the baby continue eating in a 3-hour schedule. So the most important thing to remember for breastfeeding kid is using a schedule close to every 3 hours, and the total time feeding for both breasts, if you're gonna use it, it will be between 10 minutes to 15 minutes total, or 5 minutes each breast to 7.5 minutes. The other important thing that when we have a baby that have a combination of breast milk and bottle feeding is you have, or the baby need to be taking one or the other one. It's not like after the breast milk you give 10 minutes total and then immediately you supplement with extra amount of formula, 1, 2 or 3 ounces after that. What happens when you do that, then the baby have a double feeding, and when they have a double feeding, they will be producing vomiting too. The best way to do it is you make the decision beforehand. If you're gonna use every 3 hours schedule, then you give breastfeeding and the next one is bottle feeding. You have to wait close to 3 hours to be able to give the feeding. There are 2 maneuvers that we use for babies that, even though we calculate volume, the pediatrician change formulas or started on medication, occasionally we can use 2 different maneuvers to help them with the reflux issue. One of them will be adding rice cereal into the formula, and it is okay to use rice cereal in the formula even in newborn babies. And then you can continue to the rest of the first year of life. When we use the rice cereal, then there are a few ways that you can do it. One recommendation will be 1 tablespoon, the big spoon, per every 2 ounces, and you can increase between 1 tablespoon every 2 ounces to 2 tablespoons every 2 ounces, and you become 1 to 1. The other possibility, it will be concentrating the formula and using much less volume. Let's assume you have a 5 kilos baby and you calculate between 2.5 to 3 ounces. The baby continues vomiting, then you decrease the volume by to 1/4 and sometimes 2 ounces every 3 hours. And the best way to do it and yet be able to continue with the same calories the baby requires is usually taking water from the formula and continue with the same amount of powder of the formula.